Welcome to the Coach Potato Podcast, a podcast about all things health and wellness. I'm your host, Jessica Yee, and let's get into it. We are back with episode 2. I just wanted to say before we even talk about rest and recovery, how thankful I am for everyone who has supported this and listened to the first episode and gave me some feedback and just reached out to me. I really appreciate it, seriously, from the bottom of my heart. I've been really nervous about releasing this podcast or even doing it in general, so it means so much to me. For today's episode with rest and recovery, we are going to keep it fairly short and sweet. I don't want to waste your time too much. I want you to take something tangible and use it into your life right away. When it comes to rest and recovery, we could go into some really intense science stuff like about overtraining syndrome or anything like that. But for today, I just want to get straight to the point and give you something to add to your everyday life. Rest and recovery is super important, whether it be because you need to rest for your performance goals in terms of physical training or just your life in general. The thing when it comes to rest is that we put it off. I'm not sure what it is. It's either like a no days off type of culture, this hustle culture we have with like work and career, and putting that over literally everything and putting that over sleep for sure. It's interesting because like this is like for me too, but we put sleep on like the end or the bottom of our list of things to do and how to get healthier when sleep is free. And sleep is important. It's kind of interesting that everyone will throw so much money into fitness and nutrition and these pills or this expensive bed or whatever it might be when all we need to do is probably sleep. When all we need to do is get our minds recovered, get us into this kind of this type of sleep pattern and habit in order for us to work at our best, we would need like 7 or 8 hours. So I don't understand why we don't take advantage of sleep when it's free. I understand it can be hard for a lot of people to sleep at night, but it is super important. Outside of just sleep, it's interesting how this whole no days off culture when it comes to fitness is just not something we as coaches or trainers, or if you're a fitfluencer, I don't know what it is, but it's all over Instagram and you think that's what's going to get you to your goals. Well, it's not, and it's actually just gonna cause you to go backwards or plateau. When you don't have actual rest days in between workouts, you end up possibly getting injured. You end up adding load to a really bad movement pattern. There's like so many reasons why someone should not train. As long as it's like not from laziness, when you're doing a program, there should be a purpose to your rest days. And outside of that, you should understand and listen to your body if you can even work out. If that's a possibility for today, if maybe some emotional or psychological stressors are adding to your daily life where you can't. Sometimes that happens and we have to be patient with ourselves. Patience is key and resting is key when it comes to training. As a coach, I've just recently kind of understood rest and recovery a little more, where I actually talk to my clients not only about their actual program, and yeah, there is like prescribed like rest in their program, but sometimes something else might be happening, or I don't see on their calendar that they checked off that box for the workout of the day. There's something else happening, so I would always now reach out, double check what's going on. Be like, you have to be patient with yourself. If you need to take a few days off, that's okay. You gotta listen to your body and understand what situation you're in. Because everything is connected. And if something is super stressful that's going on, obviously your body's going to feel these aches and pains or not recover properly because it's under so much stress. So understanding that sometimes resting in order to gain strength, which kind of doesn't make sense to a lot of people, is what you might actually need. And this all kind of connects to burnout as well. Like I was mentioning earlier, hustle culture was kind of the biggest thing for a long time, and then obviously COVID hit. COVID forced a lot of people into their houses or just made people slow down. Slowing down was probably the best thing for a lot of people and was completely necessary for their lives in order to have that work-life balance or to understand what actually matters to them rather than sleep, wake up, go to work, go home. Sleep, wake up, go to work, go home. And everything is just so rushed and everything just feels so busy. All of a sudden we got all this time and things were slower. You got more time to think by yourself and you probably actually got enough sleep. I think what the pandemic did in terms of hustle culture was really emphasize that work isn't everything and that there's way more to life than just work. It's interesting when I talk about burnout with in terms of your own life outside of just training, avoiding it is so difficult, but it is necessary. So if you're feeling it and you know your body needs a day off, take it if you can. I understand everyone's situation is different, but imagine taking one day off, being behind on work for one day, compared to a year or two because of burnout or losing your job because you just burnt out. If you haven't experienced full-on burnout, that's great. Keep up with the good work and make sure you don't experience the full-out burnout because, man, it's rough. It's really hard to get back to where I was in terms of working. And I've heard a lot of other burnout stories and they just lost their job. So my advice would be to really try to prevent yourself from burning out by taking one afternoon off if you need it, instead of taking on that afternoon at work and then adding more to your already stressful plate and then causing yourself to burn out to the point where you can't work for months or years. I understand rest just feels like it's not doing anything, but trust me, it's going to make you feel like a better person the next day. Just like with anything, if you started working out and then you did it every day and then you don't allow your muscles to recover, you're just going to get injured and then you can't work out for a month or two. Sometimes you just got to take a day off from working out in order to continue and create the consistency and add that habit to your lifestyle in general. Well, that's kind of just my little spiel on burnout this week or rest and recovery. I know it's a short episode. I'm kind of playing around with long and short, seeing what sticks, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. Thank you so much for listening or watching. And for next week's episode, it's something interesting and I think kind of cool. So there's this guy, he's an author. You've probably heard of him. His name is Tim Ferriss. He's the author of The 4-Hour Workweek. And he wrote a blog post about fear setting. And this is apparently supposed to be an exercise you should be doing at least once a month. So I've kind of skimmed the questions. I've kind of skimmed the blog post. I'll link it down below. But I thought we could do an activity together for next week. So if you want to do some homework and try it out for some self-development, let's do this activity where we answer these questions as honest as we can. I'm going to try not to read anything and just read it on camera and then create and formulate my answer on camera and try to be as honest as I can. So I thought it would be something fun, and next week if you didn't do the activity and you were listening to it, that's okay. Try it after. It's something we have to do every month apparently, so I'm really excited because fear has stopped me from starting this podcast. Fear has stopped me from posting on Instagram. Fear has stopped me from doing a lot of different things. So I'm hoping this will help me create some sort of realization and understand what's going on in my head. And something for all of you to listen to, I guess. Thanks for listening or watching, and see you next week.